Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I am really just glad you're here today. And if there's ever a time that I've asked you to share one of these webinars, today would be the way and the time, the one to share for people as they prepare to defend their students from this gross overreach by the Biden administration and this federal government. Folks, they've crossed the line on Title IX. So let's jump in and get started. I have a couple of examples to show you from the get-go that I think you will find very meaningful. And I hope that you will look into this and look on social media to help share this message as well. But first of all, when it comes to Title IX, 37 is greater than 459,000. True or false? Let's see.
With us today, we have Riley Gaines, a 12-time All-American swimmer with 5 SEC titles and one of the bravest voices speaking out on this issue. If the weak men running the White House had half the courage of Riley, our country would be in a much better place. Frankly, I'm appalled at what is coming out of Washington. I've said before that the dividing line in this country is no longer between right and left. It's between normal and crazy. And the most recent attack on common sense came from President Biden's Department of Education and their total rewrite of Title IX. When Title IX was first written, it was 37 words long. However, last month, President Biden released a reinterpretation of Title IX that comes in at an insane 459,000 words. Let that sink in. Title IX was created to protect women, but Biden's Title IX attempts to erase women completely. My message to Joe Biden and the federal government is that we will not comply.
The webinar could just about be over right now. I think she said it all. We will not comply. And that is the reason why we're giving you 9 more reasons to put, or actually 9 titles and just further reasons to support non-compliance with this administration. Because folks, SEL is the apparatus to deliver Title IX enforcement. They're already using inclusion language, which is the other enforcer. I've already shown you how they're using conversionary methods with the 5 competencies from SEL. Title IX is the chilling effect. It is kind of the test over the schools. What is the resolve of this state, this area? There's a lot of testing that goes on with this Title IX overreach. So folks, these pink pages that are coming up, this is pretty much to help just dismantle the apparatus. It's a local control gig, everybody. And the operation here is taking back local control. If you have friends that you don't see on this webinar right now, be texting them to get on here and make sure that you share this, because everyone needs to see this and see some of the examples that I will have by the end of this message. So let's get going. First off, the number 1 pushback: understand the Title IX officer's role. Remember, you're going to have all of these slides, so I'm not going to read every single thing on these. You will be able to share this with other people, with school board members, and whoever else that you can think of, parents, family, friends, and you will be able to read these things. They are self-explanatory. The people that are on these webinars are really well informed. So I'm not going to take the time to read all of the fine print on each one, because there's a lot that I want to show you further on after the 9 title pages. So anyway, we're going to understand their role. What does it do? We all know that it's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. We also have, let's go ahead and start the talks. Get this talk going in your locale. Reject federal funding bribes and dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. You know, we've heard this said by Trump when he's doing all of his announcements, and this isn't a political discussion for me. I don't really want to go there. We just need somebody that we want to have a president, and this is what Trump talks about. He wants to shut this down. So that is a great win for him. That's how I see him. I'm going to tell you something. If we don't stop this Department of Education and Miguel Cardona and all of his nonsense that he is pushing and allowing, our children aren't going to have any hope left in these schools. But anyway, let's keep going. You can get bogged down in each one of these screens so much. If you're going to take this to your locale, you're going to have to get your frame of mind as you teach the pages for sure. But the K-12 administrators, this is like the bureaucracy of Washington in your local school district. Kind of think of it like that. But here's the thing. They're dangling over you this free lunch and losing all these federal funds. Y'all, don't let that rattle you. Don't let that rattle you, because I'm going to tell you how you'll pay for your lunches on the third one. Reduce the number of school administrators. Once I show you all of these officers again, and if you've been following my Castle series, you will know of how many officers there already are. And I have many of them listed here. But not only that, when we have a whole hospital staff at the schools, basically, especially for a mental health ward, there's a lot of dollar savings too if we remove that kind of an apparatus from our school systems as well. This is a school, not a mental health hospital. So this is one of the things we need to push back on as well. So anyway, number 4, like I've talked with you in the past in the Castle series, unplug this data in interoperable systems, these computers talking with each other at a global level. Also, I'm going to introduce to you the surveillance systems that they are using in the name of suicide in the school systems. All of this will trigger any kind of Title IX issues, because now mandated reporting also includes Title IX. So all of this will be used between surveillance systems and reporting systems of emergencies on location at schools. So there's all kind of different apps and things that are given to these students now that the average public, the citizens of the average in the average communities don't even know about. So that's something else we're going to discuss in this particular webinar. Number 5, ban mental health counselors, clinics, mental health programs, and the SEL framework. Because like I said, that is exactly where the brainwashing is coming in. That's exactly why we have this rapid onset gender dysphoria, that combined with the social media that is targeting our students as well. Folks, this is where it is all coming from. All right. Number 6, bring back the textbooks. Plain and simple. You can secure them. They're not updated constantly. Books come home. Parents can look in them. There's a lot of reasons why we need textbooks to come back. Also, number 7, deny internet access to fluid or dynamic digital resources in libraries. There are supplemental resources that have to do with all kinds of things in the schools. But the thing is, I know that we're in a world that's digital, that we have technology, but if our legislators, if our government will not represent us to secure them, we need to keep children off of them if you don't want them to be indoctrinated into this kind of thing where they have to become part of this alphabet community, where they have to comply with these Title IX, the chilling nature of the Title IX dictation over the entire school. So I don't really want to sound like my hair is on fire here, but I am going to say we're at a place right now, if we don't get them off the grid, we're giving access to all of these people that do not have the best intentions for our children. It's pretty much common sense to know that by now. Here's the other thing that I think a lot of people do not realize, and this could happen with either books or digital programs. These school administrators hand your school board members stacks of things to sign off on and purchase all in the same day, maybe give them just a little bit of time to look at it, but not enough time. They don't give them time to get a team of people to go through them to make sure that these resources are secure. And a lot of board members won't even do that anyway. They just trust the curriculum director, sign off. Omnibus curriculum purchasing is happening just like our Congress in Washington, D.C. You know, it's like we have little state capitals in every school district. They function a lot like it. It's a bureaucracy. So anyway, we have to make sure that our school board members are gatekeeping and that superintendent realizes that they answer to the school board, and the school board needs to remember that they answer to their community. All right, here's the last one on Title IX, and this is something that most people don't know about yet, but there are laws being made to absolutely implement and enforce a media literacy training in each school to make sure that they are only going to certain websites to learn about any kind of thing that's going on in the news. And it's propaganda that they're feeding our kids to make them believe things that simply are not true, and it would turn them against their families' traditional values, religious values. I've seen this, and this is one of the main things that we will be going over next month when we expose what's in the new Zella program. So make sure that you put it on your calendar to tune in on that. Media literacy is really something that everyone needs to engage with and make sure that we are getting the truth delivered to us. So, all right. So those were the 9 titles, y'all. Those are slides you can use. Matter of fact, you'll be able to use any of these slides you want to use. And you always have my email address and phone number on my website. I try to get to everybody that calls in. I would love to help any way that I can. So when you have questions, but guys, I am a person that is laser focused on worldview. And we need to realize that our worldview, like I've told you many times with Castle and the other things, it's under attack. Your sacred beliefs regarding even biological reality, sexuality, and gender, all of this is under attack. This started a long time ago, by the way, when evolution came on the scene. And this is something we need to take back every single bit of the ground that we've lost with this and get our schools reset in truth. All right, so your child and that worldview, it is for sale by the ASS, the American School System. Now, you might get a little chuckle out of that. I'm really not meaning that to be funny. This is so serious. They are so stubborn. This is a biblical word. It's an animal. Okay. So don't get freaked out by the way that I've used this, because I mean this with all my heart. This is going to be a stubborn problem to push back on and to get this reset. And it's going to take a while to get it done, but we can do it. Local control laws, that's what we have to keep at the forefront of our minds and go to the local grassroots level to fight this. We've talked about it many times, but you know, no matter how you dress up this donkey here, and the elephant in the room is the fact that our politicians, whether they're donkeys or elephants, they're all stubborn, they all love money, and they are all just selling everything about our kids. Everything costs so much more now that we're using technology. All of these officers and theories, all of this is costing so much, and it is providing nothing but misery for the American child and the American family. So let's just think about just the NEA, the National Education Association. For those of you that might not be familiar with it, that is the largest union, I believe, in the world. And it is run by some radical people that absolutely don't have a problem in the world propagating and spewing what they think at every year at their representative assembly. It's like their annual convention for the teachers. Becky Pringle and her message here is unbelievable. I want you to just look at this, and we're going to look at a couple of slides. It'll take just a moment. So here we go.
Act as if it were possible to radically transform our world every day, all day, in every school, in every community, in every state across this nation. As I think about all that is expected of us in this moment. I can hear my father saying, Rebecca, look up at the sky. The sun is still shining, and it will rise again tomorrow. Look up, NEA. You get to be the champions for our students. Look up, NEA. You get to defend our democracy. Look up, NEA. The sun is still shining, and it will rise again tomorrow. You will not be defeated. You will never give up. You will never give in. Every day, you will be centered in the work we have been called to do together every day. All day, we will embrace our resistance and suffering every day. All day, we will remember who we are. Don't forget, lift up your hands. We are the NDA. We are the NDA. We will prevail. Onward.
Folks, she gets paid $500,000 a year to do that, to be that person. Folks, if that isn't a radical, I don't know what is. And this is who leads the largest union that impacts our schools unbelievably. Many of the teachers are forced to give to the NEA. They are pressured into doing it. And if they don't do it, they're left to feel terrible. Look at the screens from before. You can hear the whole thing if you can stand it. I can barely stand listening to her. But as we have for decades, we will fight tirelessly for the right to choose. We will fight unceasingly for the rights of our LGBTQ students and educators. There's your Title IX connection is always going to be with this. Folks, they are committed more than we realize. This is why we have to show all of this foundation along with the fact that they've brought Title IX to us. Here's another one. NEA, we will be unwavering in our demands, undaunted by the challenges, unapologetic about our advocacy. We will stand with our back straight and unyielding. Folks, I think they mean it. This November, if you stand in the way of our progress toward a more just nation, we will stand in the way of your election. I mean, it's threatening even. So folks, this is the level of lunacy. When Sarah Huckabee Sanders said it's the difference between normal and crazy, you can believe her. And wait till you see more. It gets worse. But this gives me hope. 12,000 teachers last year left the NEA. That's a win. So the teachers are starting to realize, and they don't like it when people are saying that they're indoctrinating. I mean, teachers not just leaving the NEA, they're leaving the profession. My daughter's one of them because she's like, I'm not going to subject children to SEL because she knew about it from what I showed her. So folks, this is where, yeah, there you go. Fox News, this was just there today. They just made this report today. So there. All right. Remember, you've got all of these people that back all of this nonsense too. I just like to always bring that screen out that these are people that are funding things against your family values. Look at all the money they're making. Realize that these interventions, that these counselors can file Medicaid claims on children at school, and you don't even know that they're hitting your Medicaid, I guess. It's unbelievable. They're making tons of money. Where can you make a 25% compounded annual growth rate right now? These publishers can, and they're willing to do anything to keep it. These people love money. They love money. And then also you have the medical industrial complex, which makes money on transgendering kids. So lots of money here. This is what they're projecting to 2030 with 11.2% market compounded annual growth rate. This is a lot of money. This is why it's going to take us pushing back everywhere at every local level. This was just 20 to 22. I found this graph. This is how many transgender healthcare services. This is how much it's risen. This is just a picture, and it's way more now. This is just a picture, though, of why we say there's a social contagion in the schools. And normally in the past, it was young men that were more engaging in this type of behavior with transgenderism than girls. And now it's flipped. And now the social contagions are just, they're on steroids. It's so much. So let's just take a breath and look again at the school itself and the pink pages I just introduced to you on how to reduce the administrative state in your school. Yeah, there's a deep state in your school. 87.6% growth. That's from 2000 to 2019. And now I imagine it's going to be far more because they are lining up doctors, social workers, psychologists, so many more people are being added to the payroll. We've only grown by 7.6% students on average. So you see all of these different officers in this green box over here, all of this, these are the officers that I'm talking about where you could pretty much pay for those lunches in your school district if we deflate and cut the pork in a lot of these places. This is crazy. Like Sarah said, it's crazy. This screen makes me sad. You know, local school usually is one of the largest local employers. It's really the hub of excitement. You know, I just saw all the prom pictures and everything. You've got graduations coming up, lots of good things to celebrate, accomplishments. But because of, you know, we want our children to experience all these good things, and because the schools are one of the largest employers, pastors and community leaders are very reluctant to speak out. Folks, we've got to make them wake up. Share this information with them. Share it with them. All right, so 3 acronym organizations impacting Title IX in the K-12 schools. Of course, we've talked about CASEL. I've got a few more slides to share with you on that. But ETR is a company that many of you may not be aware of. Evidence Training and Research, they're associated with Planned Parenthood. And then also, we've also touched in previous webinars about the American School Counselor Association. These right here in delivering Title IX information, they are pivotal and they are very useful in doing this work. So CASEL, remember, they did not start out as an academic product. And they realized that they were not going to be able to captivate the schools unless they had something to do with that, with academic to start with. But their name, first of all, was the Collaborative for Advancing Social and Emotional Learning. And it starts in some pretty dark places with the Fetzer Institute. Go back to the CASEL Doctrine videos if you want more information on that. And I do highly suggest that you learn about CASEL. Remember, this is a strong American school system stronghold here. And remember here, I mean, Tim Shriver says, I really do think Joe Biden is the perfect leader for our time. I can't think of anyone else who could both de-escalate the toxicity, but also allow for creative innovation and a non-polarized set of solutions. It speaks for itself. When you have teachers like this and children respond, you can see how the data can come in all kinds of different forms. This can trigger Title IX referrals and interventions in the counseling systems. So understand that information, okay? And here's another one. We've seen this, but it's been a while. I just want to let it go for just a couple of minutes.
So there's this boy that's in our class, and the girls just tease him about hanging out with the girls instead of hanging out with the boys. So they always telling him that he's gay and messing with him all the time, and that makes him very upset.
There were a couple guys who rode my bus and just spent the entire time throwing around like homophobic slurs and talking about how much they like hated and feared and felt disgusted by gay people.
When I came to school in September, there was a lot of conversations. People would ask their friends like, oh, is that a boy or a girl? Or like, what is that boy wearing? Or like, is that boy wearing a skirt? That just really ignorant things that I found to be really offensive and really hurtful. And it made learning very difficult, and it made just walking from class to class very difficult, and staying happy and keeping my grades up difficult.
People would just call me like gay and like names and stuff, and people would just like pick on me and just make like left me out of like things, you know. I was feeling really depressed.
I felt really bad for the person they were talking about, and it kind of just made me feel like, wow, these people are really mean, you know?
It just creates fear and it just makes people want to hide.
It lets people know that school is a place where there is this type of judgment and where people are going to judge you for how you express yourself and are going to talk about it and are going to perpetuate these stigmas. And I don't think that's okay at all.
It's
So you get a feel for what kind of discussions can start in a school. And if this goes into the 5 competency measurements and you're put in a group with other kids and your child is a Christian and they are not going to comply and affirm other students' beliefs that this is okay, this is just totally not with a Christian belief system. This right here, there's no telling how this will trigger intervention work and how it might travel through the data systems at the school. What kind of reporting could be done? When a child gets so pressured to change, there's no telling if your child might lose their cool at school and just tell these people to leave them alone even. Who knows how this would impact? So using these, and Second Step is a big program that's used in the schools right now. But using these, understanding, you know, that these videos could be very powerful for you to show to your school board and for you to show to anyone in your location. If you've got a good following in your social media or whatever, and sharing this information with them, it would be a great thing. So you can see, again, these are the conversion tools. And remember, if you haven't seen my Castle series, that once they identify what the child believes and thinks, and then they teach them what they should think, tell them what they should think, and call it self-management. But then when they put them in the group therapy with the others, and that's what it basically is, they call it project-based learning or whatever possibly, but they're putting these kids together to do the lesson together. So can you imagine peer pressure just when you were a kid about certain things? How is your child going to thrive in this? It's just going to be very impossible. And then you've got relationship skills. They're going to teach them how to act toward others in an affirming way, and then how to decide to truly take this as their belief system. Folks, this is just inexcusable. So like I said, that's all I want to talk about with Castle today on this, because we have covered it so much. Go back and watch these videos at parentsonthelevel.com. All right, here is the person, or not the person, here is the company that I really want to expose to you, but I'm sure you recognize this person. This is Jane Fonda, and she looks great to be in her 80s, and she was in her 80s when she took this picture, so she looks great. I get it. But she is the 2006 Margaret Sanger Award recipient, and the next year her ex-husband Ted Turner, I think, got it, or the year before, one of the two. Anyway, Jane Fonda has been on the scene in Georgia, and she has been transitioning Georgia to this way of thinking in the hearts and minds of our young people, and I'm talking millennials on down, with her organization called GCAP, the Georgia Campaign for Adolescent Power and Potential. But she started out with calling it Georgia Campaign for Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention. So that's the name it started with, kind of like SEL did, remember? Advancing SEL, then they cleaned it up and made it like for the academic part. Well, here she did the reverse. She did it to come into the scene with pregnancy prevention, and then now power and potential, because she creates activists. I'll show you proof in a minute. But anyway, she is responsible for bringing all kind of radical sex education into the state of Georgia. I've gone toe-to-toe with her people in a Boys and Girls Club down in South Georgia. And I sat in on one of the trainings for how they train the teachers to teach this information. And I've got information to share with you on that. So, I've got an insight on both the school and on the Boys and Girls Clubs, especially in the realm of sex education, because I previously was a certified instructor for abstinence education. So anyway, ETR is one of the few things that was born in a Planned Parenthood and survived. And believe me, they're surviving and thriving, making tons of money selling this curriculum. They are pretty much, they perpetrate everything from A to Z when it comes to sexuality, as far as SOGI, sexual orientation, gender identity, ideology, all of that stuff. So anyway, they partner together with GCAP in Georgia. Planned Parenthood also is on the scene and relates with this, because Planned Parenthood gets all of the referrals mostly out of the ETR system. But Kennesaw State University, they produce most of the teachers in Georgia, at least that's what their website claims. So anyway, how does this all work? Well, let me stop there for a minute and show you, first of all, how does it work with the teachers? What are they training the teachers? And then I'll show you what's taking place with the school. This is what happened when I went to their class, and I was given an extra notebook and was able to keep this sheet, but the instructor took these sheets up from everyone else, but I happened to hold on to one. And what happens is they will literally take the educators there and they will give them this exercise, the agree, disagree. So let's just read through these, because they promote this as an anonymous activity. They take up all of the forms and then they pass them back out again to where you think you're representing someone else's voice in the discussion. That's what's supposed to happen. Well, I'll show you how this backfired on this particular event that I attended. But anyway, answer with the first thought that comes to mind. It's pretty much park your values. Please respond to each statement by circling agree or disagree. So number one, there's nothing we can do about teens having unprotected sex. 2, teens can be taught to consistently use condoms and protect themselves against HIV and pregnancy. Number 3, trained school nurses should be able to offer confidential HIV testing. 4, teens should be able to receive an abortion without parental consent. 5, teens should wait to have sex until they are married. 6, if someone is HIV positive, he or she should not have sex. 7, condom skill building should be taught to middle and high school students in public schools. 8, I could teach sexuality education in a way that respects and supports lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth and their families. We were told that our values should be parked and that we should have fidelity with the curriculum. So the only moral absolute on the table is their moral absolute, that we should have fidelity to the curriculum. They want to silence the voices of the teachers, and it's just a fact. So what happened with this particular exercise at this Boys and Girls Club that I was at is after this, she said, okay, so if you agree, if your paper says agree, go to this wall. And if your paper says disagree, go to this wall. Well, she did not count on the fact that everybody down there pretty much were pro-life people. We all had the same answers. We were pro-family, we were pro-goodness, and we were pro-children, let's just put it that way, having a childhood and not having to engage in all of this stuff. So anyway, it was just a very chilling effect. This is how they teach things. This is ETR. This is the company that produces a lot of the materials headed toward our schools to teach Title IX to children. Wait, I'll show you more. So here's the other thing. How did this all come about too with Jane Fonda, ETR, and how it's come into Georgia? Because this is happening in a lot of other states, especially in states with minorities. It's the truth. A lot of them, like Mississippi, a lot of different states that people are coming in and literally coming in to teach the teachers how to teach the radical approach. They targeted Georgia on this. This particular teacher here is a professor at Kennesaw State University. Her degree is a PhD in health behavior from Indiana University. Her research has focused on health pedagogy and sexuality education programming. And I pretty much call this degree right here, it's not pedagogy, it's pedagogy, because it comes straight out of Alfred Kinsey's Kinsey Institute for Sexuality there at Indiana Bloomington. I'm going to tell you, if you don't know about the Kinsey books, Sexuality of the Human Male and Table 34, you need to just make a note. Go look up Kinsey Table 34, and you will see a graph of where he has used pedophiles to support his thesis that children are sexual from birth. That's how perverted this institute is, and there's a lot more I could talk about. Maybe I'll do a webinar another day on that with some of my friends that are much more well-versed in it than I. But every single person that gets involved in the schools and sex education needs to know how these people come from this Kinsey Institute. If they are perpetrators of comprehensive sex education, enough said, because that's a webinar all on its own. But this teacher comes from there. They are teaching more of the students, more of the teachers are coming from this university in Georgia than about any other university, is what they say. So, and not only that, she helped write the health education standards, rewrite them in Georgia, and where it's using inclusion language. Second graders are to be taught every single part of their body. Yeah, there's a lot more to this than the average citizen understands. So there you go. This is what you have to look for in your state in order to be able to push back and say no, because this is the same company that, and this is their little program that they do to teach all of this together. This shows you how ETR, Planned Parenthood, Georgia Campaign for Coalition for Campaign for Power and Potential, all of these people are connected with using this pregnancy prevention front in order to get these materials in your schools for sex education. And they have promised, this is Georgia's Impact 2025. This kid is one of the people that they have used and created as an activist to where he became that guy, supplying condoms and dental dams for kids at schools. You see, the schools don't supply them, but GCAP is teaching kids to be activists and go in and supply them to the kids at the schools right out of his locker. So read that up when you get this particular slide set, when I have it loaded. The goal, 575,000 Georgia kids by 2025. And, I'm just using Georgia for an example. You need to look into your state. What are they doing there? The particular material that they're choosing to teach for sex education gets a 15 out of 15 harmful element score. They're at the top level by Family Watch International. You can go to stopcse.org, screenshot that. If you've never seen stopcse.org, that you're going to be hanging out there for a while if you want to learn more about this. So anyway, I said all of that to get to this. This is how egregious this company is and how committed they are to transitioning in more ways than just transgenderism, but to radically change the country, like Becky Pringle spoke of, like this Title IX stuff drives us to. This is the Title IX curriculum, and this front book here on this screen, that's for elementary kids. Let that sink in. 459,000 words in this law, or this, it's not even a law, it's a interpretation. Folks, this right here should chill every one of us to say, not on our watch. Now, does it mean that every single school in America is going to use this curriculum? No, but there's going to be some kind of curriculum. And what do we need to do? Open record request. How will you be teaching this to students if this doesn't get pushed back in your state? I mean, I'd be checking it, flipping the tables on this one, parents. All right. This is one of their posters, all in the blue, not Karl Marx and Orwell. that was my addition. But this blue poster here, look at it. Can you imagine the chilling effect your child would have if this is in the bathroom or if this is in the hallway and they're teaching them to go and tell, okay? Now think about that bullying lesson you just saw and the bitterness you saw on that young man's face that was dressed as a girl. Think of that. I mean, think of how many times they would go to the Title IX officer and what power that would give them. Now, do I think that people should be degrading to kids or anything like that, that walk a different way or that have these issues? No, I don't think anyone should bully or be mean, but I don't think they should be given an upper hand either on anyone else because they're not mature enough to handle that kind of power. So this right here, this is just something to consider for your Title IX talks in your area. And you might be sitting here thinking way beyond me, something like, oh man, Marcia, you ought to tell them this. I'm sure there's a lot of that out there right now because there's many of you that I really look up to that could probably teach me a lot on some of this, some of the things that are happening in relation to the law aspect. So anyway, you should get on etr.org and read their blog about Title IX as well. It's chilling. It is, I mean, I couldn't put everything here. All right, so the verbiage that they're going to use, you will see gender-based harassment all the time because it's an ambiguous term, folks. They can flip it and say, oh, we mean this, but no, we know what they mean when they say gender-based. This is already on many school websites. Go look at your school website. This is Duval County, Florida. This is Ron DeSantis's state. And we know how Ron DeSantis feels about all this. So don't depend on your governor keeping this overreach away from you. There are 2 lawsuits in Florida right now, the Perez family in Clay County, the county I live in. And then there's also Leon County, Florida, Tallahassee. Okay, that is the Littlejohn family. And they had their kids transitioned at school in Florida. Now there's a lawsuit against them now, but still, the Perez family, their daughter, she nearly killed herself a couple of times, I think I heard in Clay County. So folks, this stuff, when it's on the website and a counselor that is down for all this stuff can show anyone this information that doesn't keep up with the news, which most people do not watch the news. Most people know that the news is hogwash anyway, so they just give up on it. So if they're not informed about this issue and they say you have to do this, even though Title IX is not law, and even though our governor is saying we're not going to comply, it all depends on who's in that school and how they're going to run it. Okay. And you know, hopefully they'll change this, but here, read this number 2 with me too. This right here will totally blow your mind. And I got to wrap this up. Bullying and harassment based on a student's actual or perceived identity with regard to race, color, national origin, pregnancy, disability, sexual orientation, expression, religion, or any other distinguishing characteristics that may be defined by federal, state, or local law. Now, just break that down for a second, folks. A student's actual or perceived identity. Okay, so can I say that I am a Black Japanese and make them believe that? I mean, what are they opening up? Can I, you know, when you've got sexual orientation and expression against a religion, so you've got Christians pitted against secular humanism here, they are opening up Pandora's box, folks. So just look at the verbiage in your school and challenge it. Challenge it. If you've got an attorney friend, get them to challenge it with you. This is going to take all of us. Then they have a reporting section, how to report the information. So all of this, look through your website. This was already on there before Biden did this expansion, by the way. So this is already on websites at schools. They have graphics on the school site. I mean, it's there. So there's already, they think this is already law. They've been lied to. These are the pamphlets that ETR has made, and I'm sure other companies are making as well. So be aware of how this is going to be delivered in the school systems, and make sure that even if you're in a state where your governor's saying that they're not going to comply, you need to find out from your superintendent how they're going to handle this. what they're doing with it, and find out and do open record requests. Have you purchased any Title IX curriculum? I want to know about it. Find out. Okay. When you go on this website, when you go to etr.org, you can click on every one of these and they will tell you what they're going to do. And these are dystopian answers, folks. Look at this one. This is on tiered services and supports. With expert consultation and technical assistance, I'm about to show you the technical assistance, ETR helps districts build trauma-informed tiered systems of services and support that help prevent and address sexual and gender-based harassment and sexual assault. Multi-tiered systems of supports is one of the systems in every public school in America, okay? The American school system has this down to a science. They have what they call PBIS, and then they have also RTI, which is more of the academic kind of intervention, but PBIS, the positive behavioral support system, that's more of this intervention counseling by these woke counselors, many of them. Not all teachers are woke, not all counselors are woke. You've got some of each in every school district. But there are committed people in these areas that are willing to take this information to this level. So they're saying our teams help districts identify and implement appropriate and feasible prevention and intervention practices and create data collection systems that support continuous evaluation and accountability. If that doesn't make your blood freeze, I don't know what would. There you go. All right, next, the surveillance systems. Now, folks, we've got Panorama, Go Guardian, Gaggle, Anomaly, Anonymous Alerts, Anonymous Alerts, Securely, My Concern. Folks, Navigate 360, how these function, the average citizen probably doesn't fully understand. But I have a teacher that was reading hers. I think her company, might have been My Concern. But anyway, when your kids synchronize their phone and their laptop, they can literally see their text messages back and forth with the parent, even, or anyone else they're texting. Your social media, they're looking at social media. They're connecting all of this stuff and eavesdropping on them in the name of suicide prevention or school safety. So how Title IX can get into this network and reporting on this, how a kid might not like something on social media and say something, it's endless. This is dystopian, folks. This is dystopian. So anyway, we did a little travel through, say there's a conversation, there's more than two genders and the student doesn't agree. And they come down here to number 3 when they get to the peer work. Then they get socially canceled, possibly. You're mean because you don't agree. Counselor intervention, reports filed. Do you see how that coincides with pretty much what we've just talked about with this kind of reporting? You see, folks, it doesn't take much if you just really sit and think. And we might even be able to find out more information on other parts. So here's a lot of the information on hows you can look at and you can share in your area. You can come back and read these things, talk about how they plug them into the CASEL competencies. Remember, American school counselors are many of the people that are taking this data and using it to customize assignments for students so they will come in line with the competencies. Folks, this is putting kids in a double bind. Children don't know who to follow. This is creating more anxiety for children than it's helping the marginalized children. This isn't to help anyone, folks. This is to brainwash students and to turn them into little, just little activists. I don't know how many of you have looked at the college campuses, but this castle business came straight out of Columbia University, Chicago University, and it was impacted by Indiana University. These universities, they're dangerous. They're just dangerous. All of these concepts. Listen to this. This is one counselor. I think she might have been counselor of the year or something. And this will really get you.
Thank you. And we do have a few more minutes to answer a few more questions. The next question, great. What should we do when a student asks to be called by an affirmed name, but their parent insists that they be called by their given name?
Yeah, this is definitely not fun. I will admit this is the most unfun part of being supportive, caring, loving school counselors, because the parents will be mad and it's not fun, and it takes thick skin, unfortunately. And hopefully you have support of your administrators, but if you don't, it can feel very, very lonesome. So if you don't have support of your administrators, find another school counselor. I mean, call me if you need to. Seriously, call me, email me. Find somebody who can support you. And that could either be one of the advocates from GLAD, the legal advocates that I told you worked on my policy with me, or it can be someone from your state school counseling association or from your state LGBTQ organization. But it's just important that I always stress, I understand you don't support this, but it is our job to support your kid in school. Like, that is point blank our job. Your job is to support them at home. It's our job when they're with us for those 7 or 8 hours. We have to legally make school a safe space. And if your student, if your child, parent, if your child is telling us, I feel safe in school, to feel safe in school, I need you to call me this name. We have to do that. It's best practice. It's also, I mean, a student can file a Title IX discrimination thing. I mean, that is a thing. Young kids probably don't know they can do that, but I mean, teenagers definitely are aware that Title IX exists, and they can file a Title IX discrimination complaint against you. And that is not fun. And it involves an investigation from a third party. I mean, every district, I believe, has a Title IX coordinator that you can take any sort of discrimination complaints. I mean, a sex discrimination complaint, a race discrimination complaint. Kids can do that, and we don't want to go down that route. It's not fun at all, but I just think it's very important to listen to the parent. It's easy to get frustrated with them. Absolutely, I get that. But just to say, parent, I really appreciate this conversation. I'm glad you're talking to me about it, but I need you to know that your child has asked me to do this, and we are going to do that. And I mean, I even had a parent then try to talk to my principal about it, and my principal was like, here's the policy. It says, I mean, if you do have a policy, it does back you up a little bit, other than just, I'm a school counselor who does best practices and I care about your kid. I mean, if you have a policy that can help you, but if not, it's just, thank you for talking to me. I really want to keep talking to you about this, but it's our job to keep your kids safe, and this is what they're asking us to do so they can feel safe with us, and that's what we are going to honor.
That is courtesy of Courage is a Habit. You should go there, courageisahabit.org. They are amazing people. Folks, if that didn't chill you down to the bone, I mean, she flat out lied. That was years ago. She was telling people that was law in 22. So there's my proof to tell you that this is how it's working on the inside. She's teaching everyone from the country that came to that event in 2022. And since Alvin Louis encourages the habit, did this expose, now they have firewalled everything to where we can't see their videos. But do you know what I do? Is I do open record requests to find out how many counselors in a school are ASCA members, because that is what they're teaching. That is what they're teaching. And this is what they're doing. I mean, they're not even teaching. This is how they're intervening and how they're lying to parents. And these parents are getting manipulated, thinking that they have to go along with them. Some states are no longer safe. And I'm going to tell you, I live in Florida now, and it is absolutely packed down here because of people moving from states that are enforcing things like this. Folks, this is how this goes. These are some of the things that you can look at. These are the inputs and who has data access. These are just things to make people think, because we no longer have guidance counselors. We now have mental health counselors and school-based healthcare clinics. And a school-based healthcare clinic is coming your way soon. They're going out there in these systems to farm and harvest all of this data on all of these students. And this is their intervention levels, all of these things I've explained in former ones. Money, money, money. Privacy policies are another thing that we need to look through. When they talk about protect the rights of students, they're talking about this kind of thing. That they will cough that up to anyone that's an officer, so to speak. This is where we are. And if you don't believe it, now you should. I mean, call me and email me like that lady said, and I'll show you some more stuff. So anyway, again, here's the end. We're at the end of it. And I'm sorry that went so long, but I'm telling y'all, this is the thing that people need to see to become believers, that we have far more to use to push back Title IX than they realize. If you come against the school system with this kind of stuff and this kind of proof, I think you will find yourself to really alarm these people, and hopefully we'll find some success in taking back everything. Here is another child parent rights campaign. This is the law firm I spoke of. They have tremendous resources for you to download. And then this is the book that I cover as well. And I have a lot of good resources for you covering all of this information as well. So folks, just know that we're here for you. Thank you so much for attending today. And if anyone wants to hang on, I'll be glad to answer questions if anyone has any at this point.
Marcia, we have a comment, 15 states have sued over Title IX, and that's great news. We also have a comment, see Dr. William Makis, M-A-K-I-S, Substack, and latest podcast on the pedophilia in the high levels of Alberta, Canada government. And it's probably the same in the United States.
Yep.
Question, can you share all of the pages you are showing? Yes.
I will be glad to. And, you can get out there and just use them in your area. Folks, we have a lot of work to do. And if this will help you to use these screens, use them. Or if you want to use this video series, use it. Invite people over and just show them this video if you need to. Whatever you need to do, you are free to use it. And I have given you all kinds of mentions in this documentary for you to go and research for yourself as well. Folks, I am here to help you. I love children, and I love goodness. I love the Lord, and I want to see our country thriving in truth again. I sure do. Any other questions? Anything else? Or we're just going to do that a wrap?
Just mentioning again that if you want these slides, you need to go to parentsonthelevel.com, and there's a tab about exposing SEL, and all of the videos that we've done together are on there, as well as the materials that you can download, PDF files that you can use and share, as Marcia has indicated already.
It'll take us a little while to get them uploaded too.
Marcia, this is a comment. Marcia, you know how much we love you. Thank you. This was a great webinar.
Well, thank you so much. And I love all you guys too. I really do. And let me know how I can help you. I really want to hear from you. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that.
Okay, I just want to encourage everyone to follow parentsonthelevel.com. Take these videos and share them. Subscribe to the channel. Get it out there so that we can help save America. This education mess that we have is one of the ways that we save America, is when we expose it. So make sure you share the videos with your friends and family and people in your community. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. See you next month with New Zilla.
Thank you.